90 years after Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act, the fight over what it means and who it serves has erupted again. On the program's 90th anniversary, a presidential proclamation cast Social Security as a sacred promise, declared it renewed, reformed, and, most explosively, said seniors no longer owe taxes on their benefits. It sounded like relief at last. But proclamations don't rewrite the tax code. And in a system this big, a victory lap without hard math can feel like a warning flare. The people versus the machine. Savings versus spin. Main Street versus the forces that would let the fund run dry. Here's the truth the numbers won't let us ignore. Nearly 70 million Americans rely on monthly checks that keep the lights on, the pantry stocked, and medical bills paid. The promise is universal. The dependence is personal, and the clock is ticking. Without structural fixes, the trust fund is projected to hit insolvency in the early 2030s, triggering across-the-board cuts around 20 to 23%, the difference between staying afloat and slipping under, for millions who did everything right. The stakes aren't abstract. They're rent, prescriptions, and groceries. Repeating it matters. If nothing changes, automatic cuts arrive. If nothing changes, families lose ground. If nothing changes, the promise shrinks. So, what actually changed? On August 14, the administration used the anniversary to claim a turnaround. Shorter wait times, phones answered, backlogs trimmed, and a crackdown on bogus records, purging obviously false ages and booting people not legally eligible. To drive the overhaul, a hard-charging private sector executive, Frank Bisignano, was tapped to lead the Social Security Administration with a mandate to fix decades-old systems. The message? Fewer lines, faster answers, no fraud. For anyone who spent hours on hold, that sounds like justice overdue. But conflict is the heartbeat of this story. Critics say the service gains are selective or overstated, the anti-fraud figures inflated, and the backlog claims muddied by shifting definitions. Scrubbing records cleans the books, they argue, but doesn't refill the trust fund. And a headline promise, no taxes on Social Security, isn't a blanket repeal. The new law, packaged in the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, expands deductions so that most seniors won't owe federal tax on their benefits. But it does not eliminate taxation for everyone. Relief is real. The fine print is too. Here's the tension. Immediate relief versus long-term solvency. The White House says as many as 88% of seniors now pay no federal tax on benefits under the new rules. That's money back in pockets right now. Rent paid, medication filled, panic eased. But revenue doesn't disappear without consequences. Independent analyses warn that the 2025 tax changes, taken together, could hasten the insolvency date to roughly 2032. Imagine the relief this year becoming the shortfall next year. The program lives on trust and arithmetic, and both must add up. Proponents counter with a broader picture: tariff receipts, market gains, and retirement accounts climbing. An economy strong enough, they say, to carry Social Security forward. Opponents note tariffs aren't earmarked for the program, while deporting undocumented workers can actually reduce future payroll contributions because many pay in but aren't eligible to draw out. One side points to momentum, the other points to math. The louder the celebration, the more urgent the question. Who pays to keep the promise whole? Let's name the stakes clearly. If Congress does nothing, automatic cuts land. If Congress acts carelessly, cuts arrive anyway, just dressed up as reforms. The menu is familiar and fraught. Raise or eliminate the earnings cap so high earners contribute more. Adjust cost of living formulas. Lift the retirement age. Means test benefits for the wealthiest. Or pair new revenue with targeted trims. Each path picks winners and losers. Each choice says whose retirement gets protected first. The battle lines aren't just partisan. They're generational, regional, and class-based. Seniors versus delay. workers versus doubt, the public versus a countdown clock. And yes, there's contradiction in the air. The same podium that vows to protect and preserve the program sometimes stands near advisors who flirted with calling it unsustainable, or worse. Some lawmakers in the president's own party float raising the retirement age or adjusting COLAs. Others tout investment schemes that critics say blur the line toward privatization. The result is mixed signals at the top and rising anxiety at the base. In a fight this consequential, ambiguity is a form of pressure on households, on planners, on anyone who needs certainty to budget a fixed check across a rising set of bills. So where's the resolution? Start with honesty. The proclamation is symbolism. The service fixes are welcome, but not structural. The tax relief is substantial for most seniors, but not universal. All three can be true at once. Progress that touches real lives should be recognized, but repetition is necessary because the stakes demand it. Service wins are not solvency wins. Relief today is not rescue tomorrow. A promise celebrated is not a promise secured. The fallout of inaction is brutal and predictable. Insolvency doesn't mean zero checks. It means automatic percentage cuts that will feel like a slow-motion breach of faith. Picture a 23% reduction landing on a tight budget. The rent fits until it doesn't. The pharmacy trips stretch until they break. That's not a policy debate, it's groceries, heating, dignity. And once confidence cracks, rebuilding it takes longer than fixing code or clearing a call queue. What's next is the only question that matters. If leaders believe Social Security is a sacred promise, they must prove it with numbers, not ceremonies. Define the revenue, specify the trade-offs, put the solvency date on the table and move it out decisively, not by months, but by decades. Voters don't need slogans. They need a plan they can set a life on. Add your voice where it counts. Should the burden fall more on high earners, on general revenue, on benefit formulas, or some mix that protects middle-class retirees who did everything the system asked? If you've lived the hold music, the paperwork, the pressure of a fixed check, your experience is the evidence policymakers can't ignore. 90 years is a milestone. It's also a mirror. This program has survived wars, recessions, and political whiplash because the public demanded it. The promise stands because people refused to let it fall. Now comes the test of this generation. Is the latest renewal a real repair or just a reprieve? The next move will answer that. So here's the cliffhanger the country must resolve. Will Washington choose a fix big enough to secure the next 90 years? Or will we wake up in 2032 asking why the warning lights were flashing and nobody hit the brakes in time? If securing Social Security matters to you, help push this briefing to the people who rely on it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Leave a like to signal the platform this topic matters, and add your take in the comments. Should new revenue come from higher caps, general funds, or benefit formulas? Your experience is evidence policymakers can't ignore.